In the heart of Saudi Arabia's ancient desert, where civilizations once carved their stories into towering sandstone cliffs, a modern diplomatic tale was about to unfold. The golden dunes of AlUla held secrets spanning millennia, but on this particular morning, they would witness something unprecedented, a meeting that would bridge two worlds, two cultures, and two visions for the future. As the sun painted the Hegra tombs in amber light, Prince William of Wales stepped onto Saudi soil, unaware that this journey would reshape his understanding of the Middle East forever. The early morning air in AlUla carried whispers of history as Prince William's aircraft descended toward the private airstrip. Below him stretched an otherworldly landscape that seemed untouched by time. Massive rock formations jutted from the desert floor like ancient sentinels, their weathered faces telling stories of Nabatean traders who once called this place home. The prince pressed his face to the small aircraft window, marveling at the dramatic beauty of the UNESCO World Heritage Site that would serve as the backdrop for his historic visit. Prince William had traveled extensively throughout his royal duties, but Saudi Arabia presented unique challenges and opportunities. This wasn't just another diplomatic mission. It was a carefully orchestrated effort to strengthen ties between the United Kingdom and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia during a pivotal moment in both nations' histories. The prince understood the weight of his presence here, knowing that every gesture, every word, and every photograph would be scrutinized by international media and diplomatic circles. As his plane touched down on the newly constructed runway, Prince William could see the elaborate preparations that had been made for his arrival. A red carpet stretched across the tarmac, flanked by Saudi and British flags that danced in the gentle desert breeze. Military honor guards stood at attention in crisp uniforms, their polished boots reflecting the morning sun. In the distance, a convoy of luxury vehicles waited to transport the royal party to their first official engagement. Governor Prince Salman bin Salman, a rising figure in Saudi Arabia's modernization efforts, stood at the head of the welcoming committee. At 35, the governor had already earned a reputation as a progressive leader who balanced respect for tradition with ambitious plans for the future. His appointment to oversee AlUla's development into a world-class cultural and tourism destination had been seen as a testament to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's confidence in the younger generation of Saudi leadership. The governor had spent weeks preparing for this moment. Every detail had been meticulously planned, from the traditional Arabic coffee service to the selection of local artisans who would demonstrate ancient crafts for the British prince. Governor Salman understood that this visit represented more than diplomatic protocol. It was an opportunity to showcase Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 initiative and demonstrate how the kingdom was opening its doors to the world while preserving its rich cultural heritage. As Prince William descended the aircraft steps, he was immediately struck by the warmth of his reception. Governor Salman stepped forward with a genuine smile, extending his hand in greeting. The two men, representing different cultures and traditions, met in the middle of the red carpet, with mutual respect evident in their demeanor. The handshake lasted several seconds, with both leaders making direct eye contact, a gesture that photographers captured from multiple angles. "Your Royal Highness, welcome to AlUla, the jewel of Saudi Arabia," Governor Salman said in fluent English, his voice carrying both formality and warmth. "We are honored to have you experience the wonders of this ancient land." Prince William responded with equal courtesy, expressing his gratitude for the invitation and his excitement about exploring AlUla's remarkable archaeological treasures. The brief exchange set a tone of mutual respect that would characterize their interactions throughout the visit. The welcoming ceremony continued with traditional Saudi customs that had been carefully explained to Prince William's advance team. Dates and Arabic coffee were offered, symbolizing hospitality and welcome in Bedouin culture. The prince graciously accepted both, demonstrating cultural sensitivity that was appreciated by the gathered Saudi officials. Children from local schools presented bouquets of desert flowers, their shy smiles and careful curtsies creating touching moments that would later dominate social media coverage of the visit. Following the airport ceremony, the royal convoy began its journey toward the main archaeological site of Hegra, also known as Madain Salih. Governor Salman had chosen to ride in the same vehicle as Prince William, using the 20-minute drive as an opportunity for informal conversation away from the formal protocol of public events. This decision proved wise, as both men discovered shared interests in conservation, sustainable development, and the importance of preserving historical sites for future generations. During the drive, Governor Salman served as an enthusiastic guide, pointing out significant landmarks and sharing stories about AlUla's transformation from a relatively unknown archaeological site to an emerging global destination. He explained how Saudi Arabia was investing billions of dollars in the region, while maintaining strict conservation standards to protect the delicate desert ecosystem and ancient structures. Prince William was particularly interested in the sustainable tourism model being developed in AlUla. As someone deeply committed to environmental causes, he asked detailed questions about how the Saudi authorities plan to manage visitor numbers while protecting the site's archaeological integrity. Governor Salman explained the innovative approaches being implemented, including electric vehicle tours, solar-powered facilities, and partnerships with international conservation organizations. The conversation revealed common ground between the two leaders that extended beyond their official roles. Both were fathers concerned about the world they would leave for their children. Both understood the delicate balance required to promote economic development while preserving cultural heritage. This personal connection would prove crucial in establishing the foundation for productive discussions throughout the visit. As they approached the main visitor center at Hegra, Prince William could see the impressive modern architecture that had been designed to complement rather than compete with the ancient landscape. The building's low profile and earth-tone materials allowed it to blend seamlessly with the surrounding desert, while large glass windows offered panoramic views of the Nabatean tombs carved into the sandstone cliffs. The visitor center represented everything Governor Salman hoped to achieve in AlUla, a perfect marriage of modern functionality and respect for historical context. State-of-the-art exhibition spaces housed priceless artifacts discovered during ongoing archaeological excavations, while interactive displays allowed visitors to explore the site's history through cutting-edge technology. The prince was visibly impressed by the thoughtful design and attention to detail evident throughout the facility. Their first official meeting took place in a private conference room overlooking the archaeological site. Governor Salman had assembled a small team of cultural experts, archaeologists, and development officials to brief Prince William on the various aspects of AlUla's restoration and development. The presentation began with a short film showcasing the site's history, from its role as a crucial stop along ancient trade routes to its current status as Saudi Arabia's first UNESCO World Heritage Site. Prince William listened intently as Dr. Abdul Rahman Al-Suhaibani, AlUla's chief archaeologist, explained recent discoveries that had shed new light on Nabatean civilization. The prince asked thoughtful questions about dating techniques, conservation methods, and plans for future excavations. His genuine interest in the archaeological work was evident, and the Saudi team responded with enthusiasm, sharing details about collaborative research projects with international universities. The discussion then shifted to the broader vision for AlUla's development. Governor Salman outlined plans for luxury eco-resorts, world-class museums, and cultural events that would attract visitors from around the globe. However, he emphasized that all development would be guided by principles of sustainability and cultural sensitivity. The goal was not simply to create another tourist destination, but to establish AlUla as a model for how ancient heritage sites could be preserved while contributing to modern economic development. Prince William shared his own experiences with heritage conservation in the United Kingdom, discussing projects he had supported through the Royal Foundation and other charitable organizations. He spoke about the challenges of balancing public access with preservation needs and the importance of engaging local communities in conservation efforts. The conversation revealed striking similarities between the challenges faced in preserving British historical sites and those encountered in AlUla. As the morning progressed, it became clear that this was more than a diplomatic visit. Both Prince William and Governor Salman were discovering opportunities for meaningful collaboration between their respective countries. The prince expressed particular interest in educational exchanges that could bring British archaeological students to work on AlUla excavations, while Saudi students could gain experience at British heritage sites. The formal meetings concluded with a walking tour of Hegra's most spectacular tombs. Governor Salman personally guided Prince William through the ancient necropolis, explaining the significance of the elaborate facades carved into the rock faces. The prince was particularly fascinated by Qasr al-Farid, the site's most famous tomb, which stands alone like a massive sandcastle rising from the desert floor. Standing before these monuments to ancient civilizations, both men felt the weight of history and their responsibility as custodians of cultural heritage. The experience created a bond between them that transcended diplomatic protocol, establishing a foundation of mutual respect and shared purpose that would influence their ongoing relationship. As the first day of the visit concluded, Prince William and Governor Salman had already begun discussing possibilities for future collaboration. The prince's genuine enthusiasm for AlUla's preservation efforts and Governor Salman's commitment to sustainable development had created unexpected synergies between their respective missions. The evening concluded with a private dinner at the Ashar Resort, where Prince William was staying during his visit. The intimate setting allowed for continued conversation about shared interests and future possibilities. Both leaders recognized that this meeting represented the beginning of what could become a significant partnership between their countries, in the fields of heritage preservation, sustainable tourism, and cultural exchange. As Prince William retired to his suite overlooking the dramatic AlUla landscape, he reflected on the day's experiences. The warmth of his reception, the impressive scope of the conservation efforts, and the personal connection he had developed with Governor Salman had exceeded all expectations.
This visit was proving to be far more than a routine diplomatic obligation. It was becoming a meaningful exploration of how different cultures could work together to preserve humanity's shared heritage.
Governor Salman, meanwhile, felt equally satisfied with the day's proceedings. Prince William's genuine interest in AlUla's preservation efforts and his willingness to explore collaborative opportunities had validated the Saudi leadership's decision to invite him. The governor sensed that this visit could mark the beginning of a new chapter in Saudi-British relations, one based on shared values rather than purely economic or political considerations. The stage was now set for the remainder of Prince William's visit, with both leaders eager to explore the possibilities that lay ahead. Tomorrow would bring new opportunities to deepen their collaboration and advance their shared vision for heritage preservation and cultural exchange. The second day of Prince William's visit began before sunrise. As Governor Salman had arranged a special experience, but few visitors to AlUla ever receive. The prince was gently awakened by his private secretary at 4:30 in the morning, informed that the governor had personally requested his presence for what he had mysteriously described as the most beautiful sight in all of Arabia. Despite the early hour, Prince William felt energized by the prospect of this unplanned adventure. He had always been drawn to authentic experiences during his travels, preferring genuine encounters over carefully orchestrated photo opportunities. The governor's invitation suggested a level of trust and personal connection that had developed remarkably quickly between the two men. Dressed in casual outdoor clothing suitable for desert conditions, Prince William met Governor Salman in the resort's main lobby. The Saudi leader was accompanied only by a small security detail and his personal photographer, a deliberately minimal entourage that emphasized the intimate nature of this excursion. Both men carried thermal coffee cups and wore the easy smiles of early risers embarking on an adventure. The journey took them deep into the AlUla desert, far from the main archaeological sites that typically attract visitors. Governor Salman drove his own vehicle, a robust four-wheel drive SUV equipped for desert terrain. As they traveled along ancient paths that had once carried Nabatean caravans, the governor shared stories passed down through generations of Bedouin families who still maintained traditional seasonal camps in the region. Their destination was an elevated plateau that offered panoramic views across the entire AlUla Valley. Governor Salman had discovered this location during his childhood visits to the region with his grandfather, who had taught him to appreciate the desert's subtle beauty and ever-changing moods. It was a deeply personal place for the governor, and his decision to share it with Prince William represented a significant gesture of friendship and trust. They arrived at the viewpoint just as the eastern horizon began to show the first hints of dawn. The desert stretched endlessly in all directions, its surface broken by the distinctive rock formations that made AlUla unique among Saudi Arabia's archaeological sites. In the growing light, the landscape revealed colors that ranged from deep purple shadows to golden highlights where the rising sun touched the highest peaks. Prince William stood in reverent silence as the sun crested the horizon, painting the entire valley in warm, shifting hues. The experience was profoundly moving, offering a connection to the natural world that his busy royal schedule rarely allowed. Governor Salman remained quietly nearby, understanding that some moments required no commentary or explanation. As the sun climbed higher, revealing the full grandeur of the AlUla landscape, Governor Salman began sharing his personal vision for the region's future. This was not the official presentation he had delivered the previous day, but rather an intimate conversation between two leaders who had discovered common ground in their commitment to preservation and sustainability. The governor spoke passionately about his childhood memories of visiting AlUla with his grandfather, learning traditional desert skills, and hearing stories of the ancient traders who had built this civilization. He described how these early experiences had shaped his understanding of stewardship and responsibility toward future generations. His grandfather had taught him that the desert was not empty or barren, but rather filled with life and history for those who knew how to look. Prince William shared his own formative experiences with nature and conservation, describing childhood visits to Scottish Highlands with his father and the profound impact these had on his environmental consciousness. Both men discovered that their commitment to conservation had deep personal roots, extending far beyond their official duties and public responsibilities. Their conversation was interrupted by the distinctive sound of birds beginning their morning songs. Governor Salman pointed out various species that had adapted to desert life, explaining how AlUla's unique geography created microclimates that supported unexpected biodiversity. Prince William was particularly fascinated by the presence of endangered Arabian leopards in the region's remote mountain areas and the conservation efforts underway to protect their habitat. As they prepared to leave their sunrise viewing location, Governor Salman produced a traditional Arabic breakfast that had been prepared by local Bedouin families. The simple meal of dates, flatbread, honey, and strong coffee tasted extraordinary in the desert setting, enhanced by the authenticity of the experience and the growing friendship between the two men. The return journey to the main AlUla development area provided opportunities for deeper conversation about the challenges both leaders faced in their respective roles. Governor Salman spoke candidly about the pressures of modernizing Saudi Arabia while respecting traditional values and maintaining cultural authenticity. The rapid pace of change created daily decisions about balancing progress with preservation. Prince William shared his own experiences managing public expectations while pursuing meaningful conservation work. As a member of the British royal family, he faced constant scrutiny of his actions and statements, making it challenging to advocate for sometimes unpopular environmental causes. Both men found comfort in discussing the isolation that often accompanied leadership positions and the importance of maintaining personal authenticity despite public pressures. Their morning adventure had created a foundation of mutual respect and understanding that would inform all their subsequent interactions. When they arrived back at the main visitor facilities, other officials and media representatives were waiting to begin the day's scheduled activities, but both leaders carried with them the memory of their private desert experience. The afternoon was dedicated to exploring AlUla's cultural renaissance beyond its archaeological treasures. Governor Salman had organized visits to several initiatives designed to support local communities while preserving traditional skills and knowledge. Their first stop was a traditional craft center, where local artisans were working to revive ancient techniques for metalworking, textiles, and pottery. Prince William spent considerable time with master craftsman Ahmed Al-Harbi, who had devoted his life to recreating the intricate metalwork techniques once used to create Nabatean jewelry and decorative objects. Using tools and methods that had been passed down through generations, Al-Harbi demonstrated the painstaking process of creating a traditional Arabian coffee pot, explaining how each design element carried cultural significance. The prince tried his hand at the basic techniques, quickly discovering the skill and patience required for such detailed work. His genuine attempts to learn, despite obvious inexperience, earned appreciative laughter from the assembled artisans and created moments of authentic human connection that transcended cultural boundaries. At the textiles workshop, Prince William met Fatima al-Shamri, a master weaver who had spent decades preserving traditional Bedouin weaving techniques. Her work combined ancient patterns with natural dyes derived from desert plants, creating textiles that were both beautiful and historically authentic. She explained how each pattern told a story, often recording important events in tribal history or expressing spiritual beliefs. Fatima presented Prince William with a small woven piece featuring a pattern she had created specifically for his visit. The design incorporated traditional British and Saudi motifs, symbolizing the friendship developing between their nations. The prince was visibly moved by the thoughtfulness of the gift and the skill evident in its creation. Governor Salman watched these interactions with satisfaction, seeing his vision for AlUla's cultural preservation coming to life. The presence of such a distinguished international visitor validated the importance of these traditional crafts and provided encouragement for the artisans who sometimes worried that their ancient skills were becoming irrelevant in the modern world. The cultural center visit concluded with a traditional music performance by local Bedouin musicians using instruments crafted from materials found in the surrounding desert. The haunting melodies seemed to emerge from the landscape itself, creating an emotional connection to the generations of people who had found beauty and meaning in this harsh but magnificent environment. Prince William's visible appreciation for the performance encouraged the musicians to extend their program, sharing songs that celebrated desert life, historical events, and the changing seasons. Through translation provided by Governor Salman, the prince learned about the storytelling traditions embedded in Bedouin music, where songs served as historical records and moral instruction for younger generations. The late afternoon brought a visit to AlUla's modern sustainable development projects, where Prince William could see how traditional knowledge was being integrated with cutting-edge technology. Solar power installations had been designed to blend with the landscape while providing clean energy for visitor facilities. Water conservation systems drew inspiration from ancient techniques while incorporating modern efficiency improvements. Of particular interest to Prince William was the wildlife conservation program that Governor Salman had championed. The initiative focused on protecting endangered desert species while creating opportunities for ecotourism that would benefit local communities. Camera trap footage showed Arabian oryx, gazelles, and even the elusive Arabian leopards that inhabited AlUla's remote mountain regions. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a British conservation biologist working with the AlUla team, briefed Prince William on the collaborative research projects already underway between Saudi and international institutions. Her presence demonstrated the kind of scientific cooperation that both leaders hope to expand through increased collaboration between their countries. The prince was particularly interested in habitat restoration efforts that aimed to recreate the desert ecosystem as it had existed before modern disruptions. Ancient water systems were being restored, native plant species reintroduced, and traditional grazing patterns re-established to support wildlife populations. These efforts required careful balance between scientific knowledge and traditional ecological wisdom. As evening approached, Governor Salman had arranged for a private dinner at a location that held special significance in AlUla's history. The meal would take place at the restored Hegra railway station, part of the famous Hejaz Railway that had once connected Damascus to Medina. The station, damaged during World War I and abandoned for decades, had been carefully restored as a symbol of AlUla's connection to broader Middle Eastern history. The setting provided a perfect backdrop for deeper conversations about the region's complex past and promising future. As they walked through the restored station buildings, Governor Salman explained how the railway had represented modernization and connection to the wider world when it was built in the early 1900s. Its destruction during the Arab Revolt had symbolized the end of one era and the beginning of another. Prince William was fascinated by the parallels between the railway's story and current efforts to balance modernization with cultural preservation. Both then and now, the challenge was to embrace beneficial change while maintaining essential cultural identity. The restored station served as a tangible reminder that this balance was possible with careful planning and respect for history. The dinner conversation ranged widely, covering topics from architecture and urban planning to environmental conservation and cultural exchange. Both leaders discovered additional areas of common interest, including sustainable agriculture techniques that could be adapted for desert environments and renewable energy projects that respected landscape aesthetics. Governor Salman shared his personal commitment to ensuring that AlUla's development benefited local communities rather than displacing them. Employment opportunities, educational programs, and business development initiatives were all designed to empower local residents to participate in and profit from the region's transformation. This community-centered approach resonated strongly with Prince William's own philosophy about conservation and development. The prince described successful community conservation projects in the United Kingdom, particularly initiatives that had revitalized rural economies while preserving natural habitats and cultural landscapes. He emphasized the importance of ensuring that local populations became stakeholders in conservation efforts rather than obstacles to be overcome. Their conversation was enhanced by the magical quality of the desert evening, as stars became visible in the clear, unpolluted sky above AlUla. The absence of light pollution created a celestial display that both men found inspiring, reminding them of humanity's small place in the broader cosmos while reinforcing their responsibility as stewards of Earth's cultural and natural heritage. As the evening concluded, both Prince William and Governor Salman recognized that their meeting had evolved into something more significant than either had originally anticipated. Their shared values, mutual respect, and compatible visions for the future had created the foundation for what promised to be an enduring partnership between their respective institutions and countries. The second day of the visit had deepened their personal connection while revealing numerous opportunities for practical collaboration in fields ranging from archaeological research to wildlife conservation. Tomorrow would bring the formal conclusion of the visit, but both leaders were already discussing plans for future meetings and joint initiatives. Prince William retired to his accommodation with a profound sense of satisfaction about the day's experiences. His encounter with AlUla's cultural treasures and conservation efforts had exceeded all expectations, while his developing friendship with Governor Salman promised to yield benefits far beyond this single visit. The stage was set for the final day of his stay, which would focus on formalizing the collaborative agreements they had discussed. The final day of Prince William's historic visit to AlUla dawned with an atmosphere of anticipation and accomplishment. Both the prince and Governor Salman understood that this day would determine whether their personal connection and shared vision could be transformed into concrete agreements that would benefit both their nations and the cause of global heritage preservation. The morning began with a formal ceremony at the newly constructed AlUla International Conference Center, an architectural marvel that had been designed to host high-level diplomatic and cultural events. The building's innovative design incorporated traditional Arabian elements with modern sustainability features, creating a space that embodied the values both leaders had discussed throughout the visit. Representatives from various British and Saudi institutions had gathered to witness the signing of several collaborative agreements that had been negotiated in the months leading up to Prince William's visit. However, the personal rapport established between the prince and Governor Salman had created opportunities for additional cooperation that went beyond the original planned agreements. The first formal agreement established a partnership between the British Museum and AlUla's archaeological team for joint research and excavation projects. Rebecca Thompson, the British Museum's expert on ancient Middle Eastern civilizations, explained how British archaeological techniques could complement Saudi Arabia's growing expertise in desert excavation and conservation. Prince William expressed particular enthusiasm for this collaboration, noting how it would create opportunities for British students to gain hands-on experience in one of the world's most significant archaeological sites. Governor Salman emphasized that these exchanges would be reciprocal, with Saudi students gaining access to British institutions and their collections of Arabian artifacts. The second agreement focused on sustainable tourism development, with British expertise in heritage tourism being shared to help AlUla achieve its goals of attracting international visitors while maintaining strict conservation standards. The National Trust, Britain's largest conservation charity, would provide consultation on visitor management techniques that balanced access with preservation. Sir David Henderson, representing the National Trust, praised AlUla's commitment to sustainable development and expressed confidence that the partnership would create a new model for heritage tourism in challenging environments. Governor Salman noted that British experience managing popular historical sites like Stonehenge and Edinburgh Castle could provide valuable lessons for AlUla's tourism planners. The third formal agreement established educational exchanges that would bring together students and researchers from both countries. The University of Oxford's Archaeology Department would partner with King Saud University to create joint degree programs focused on Middle Eastern archaeology and heritage conservation. These academic partnerships would ensure that collaboration continued at the scholarly level for generations to come. Prince William addressed the assembled delegates, speaking warmly about his experiences during the visit and his admiration for Saudi Arabia's commitment to preserving its cultural heritage while embracing sustainable development. His remarks were carefully crafted to acknowledge both the challenges and opportunities facing heritage conservation in the 21st century. The Prince emphasized that successful conservation required international cooperation, as cultural heritage belonged to all humanity rather than individual nations alone. His words resonated with the Saudi audience, who appreciated his recognition of their country's contributions to world civilization and his commitment to respectful collaboration rather than patronizing assistance. Governor Salman responded with equally gracious remarks, thanking Prince William for his genuine interest in AlUla's preservation efforts and his willingness to forge meaningful partnerships rather than simply conduct ceremonial visits. The governor emphasized that these agreements represented the beginning of a long-term relationship between their countries in the field of cultural preservation. Following the formal ceremony, Prince William and Governor Salman embarked on a final tour of AlUla's most spectacular sites, this time accompanied by international media representatives who would carry the story of their collaboration to a global audience. The presence of journalists and photographers added formality to their interactions, but the genuine warmth of their relationship remained evident. Their first stop was the Mirror Lake, a recently restored ancient reservoir that had been ingeniously carved into solid rock by Nabatean engineers. The site demonstrated the sophisticated water management techniques that had enabled a thriving civilization in the desert environment. Governor Salman explained how modern restoration efforts had revealed the full extent of this ancient engineering marvel. Prince William was particularly impressed by the integration of historical accuracy with modern visitor amenities. Walkways and viewing platforms had been constructed using traditional materials and techniques, while interpretive displays provided information without detracting from the site's authenticity. The careful balance achieved here exemplified the approach both leaders advocated for heritage sites globally. The media contingent captured numerous photographs of Prince William and Governor Salman examining ancient inscriptions and discussing conservation techniques with site archaeologists. These images would later appear in publications worldwide, showcasing the sophisticated level of archaeological work being conducted in Saudi Arabia and the serious commitment of both countries to heritage preservation. Their next destination was the AlUla Arts District, a new cultural quarter where contemporary artists from around the world were creating works inspired by the region's ancient heritage. The initiative demonstrated how historical sites could inspire modern creativity while providing economic opportunities for local communities. Prince William met with several international artists participating in the residency program, including British sculptor James Morrison, who was creating large-scale installations using locally sourced stone and traditional carving techniques. Morrison explained how working in AlUla had transformed his understanding of the relationship between art, landscape, and cultural memory. The prince also encountered Saudi artist Noura al-Sabai, whose contemporary interpretations of ancient Nabatean motifs were garnering international attention. Al-Sabai described how the artist residency program was helping her connect with her cultural heritage while developing a modern artistic voice that could speak to global audiences. Governor Salman watched with satisfaction as Prince William engaged enthusiastically with the artists in their work. The cultural program represented his vision of AlUla as a living heritage site rather than a museum, where contemporary creativity could flourish alongside archaeological preservation. The prince's obvious appreciation for this approach validated the governor's commitment to supporting artistic expression as part of heritage conservation. The afternoon brought a visit to the AlUla Nature Reserve, where conservation efforts were focused on protecting the region's unique desert ecosystem. Prince William, known internationally for his environmental advocacy, was particularly interested in learning about species protection programs and habitat restoration initiatives. Dr. Khalid Al-Rashid, the reserve's chief conservation officer, guided Prince William through various ecosystems within the reserve, explaining how different geological formations supported diverse plant and animal communities. The prince was fascinated by the desert's hidden biodiversity and the complex ecological relationships that sustained life in such an apparently harsh environment. Of special interest was the Arabian Leopard Conservation Program, which was working to protect one of the world's rarest big cats. Camera trap footage showed individual leopards that had been identified and named, creating personal connections to conservation efforts. Prince William's evident emotional response to seeing these magnificent animals in their natural habitat provided powerful moments for the media coverage of his visit. The conservation program exemplified the integrated approach to heritage preservation that both leaders advocated. Protecting wildlife habitats also preserved the landscapes that provided context for archaeological sites, while supporting traditional pastoral practices that had shaped the region's cultural development over millennia. Prince William learned about innovative conservation techniques being developed specifically for desert environments, including water conservation systems and solar-powered monitoring equipment. These technologies could potentially be adapted for use in other arid regions worldwide, creating opportunities for British and Saudi researchers to collaborate on global conservation challenges. The final official event of Prince William's visit was a gala dinner hosted by Governor Salman at the spectacular Maria Concert Hall, a mirrored building that reflected the surrounding landscape while providing a world-class venue for cultural events. The architectural masterpiece served as a symbol of AlUla's transformation into a global cultural destination. The guest list included prominent figures from both British and Saudi society, creating opportunities for networking and relationship building that would support the formal agreements signed earlier in the day. Conversations flowed freely between archaeologists, conservationists, business leaders, and cultural figures who discovered numerous areas of mutual interest and potential collaboration. During the formal dinner speeches, both Prince William and Governor Salman reflected on the deeper significance of their meeting and the partnerships they had established. Their words emphasized shared values rather than national interests, focusing on humanity's collective responsibility to preserve cultural heritage and natural environments for future generations. Prince William spoke movingly about his children and the world he hoped to leave for them, a world where cultural differences were celebrated rather than feared, where ancient wisdom informed modern decisions, and where international cooperation addressed global challenges. His personal reflections resonated with the diverse audience and reinforced the genuine nature of his commitment to the collaborative initiatives they had established. Governor Salman responded with equal eloquence, describing his grandfather's teachings about stewardship and responsibility, and how those lessons had shaped his approach to AlUla's development. He emphasized that the partnerships established during Prince William's visit represented a new model for international cultural cooperation, one based on mutual respect and shared learning rather than one-sided expertise transfer. The evening concluded with a surprise performance by renowned British cellist Stephen Isserlis, who had flown to AlUla specifically to perform at the gala dinner. His rendition of works by British and Arabian composers created a musical bridge between cultures, demonstrating how artistic expression could transcend language and cultural barriers to create universal human connections. As the formal events wound down, Prince William and Governor Salman found time for a final private conversation, away from the assembled guests and media representatives. Walking on the terrace overlooking the illuminated AlUla landscape, they reflected on the remarkable 3 days they had shared and the foundation they had built for future collaboration. Both men acknowledged that their meeting had exceeded all expectations, creating not just formal agreements but also a personal friendship that would facilitate ongoing cooperation between their countries. They discussed concrete plans for follow-up visits, with Governor Salman accepting Prince William's invitation to visit heritage sites in the United Kingdom later in the year. Their conversation touched on the broader implications of their partnership for Middle Eastern relations and global heritage conservation. Both recognized that their collaboration could serve as a model for how different cultures could work together constructively, moving beyond political differences to focus on shared human values. Prince William expressed particular satisfaction with the community engagement aspects of AlUla's development program, noting how local populations were being empowered to participate in and benefit from heritage tourism. Governor Salman emphasized that this approach reflected Islamic principles of stewardship and community responsibility, creating common ground with British traditions of public service and social responsibility. As the evening concluded, both leaders felt a sense of accomplishment that went beyond diplomatic success. They had forged a genuine partnership based on mutual respect, shared values, and complementary expertise. The formal agreements signed during the visit would create tangible benefits for both countries, while their personal relationship would facilitate future collaboration on emerging challenges and opportunities. Prince William's departure the following morning was marked by the same warmth and ceremony that had characterized his arrival, but with the added dimension of genuine friendship between the two leaders. The farewell was emotional, with both men expressing gratitude for the experiences they had shared and excitement about the projects they would pursue together. As Prince William's aircraft lifted off from AlUla's airstrip, both he and Governor Salman reflected on a visit that had transformed from a routine diplomatic obligation into a meaningful exploration of how different cultures could collaborate to preserve humanity's shared heritage. The partnerships they had established would yield benefits for years to come, while their personal friendship would serve as a bridge between their respective countries and cultures. The success of Prince William's visit to AlUla represented more than effective diplomacy. It demonstrated how personal relationships, mutual respect, and shared values could overcome cultural differences to create meaningful international cooperation. As both leaders returned to their regular duties, they carried with them memories of a remarkable encounter that had enriched their understanding of each other's cultures and strengthened their commitment to global heritage preservation.